Okay, this is video part 2 of my ebook Breakthrough Skin and Tissue Healing Remedies, and to get to the first part just simply click on my profile and look for the same file name, Breakthrough Skin and Tissue Healing Remedies Part 1. Okay, prior to me hearing about this little girl with meningococcal disease, I was aware of a chap called David Phillips working with the Boptron light, and this is the type of results that he's been getting. Isn't it absolutely fascinating how a wound like that can be healed up with a light? But believe me, it's happening. And this guy, David Phillips, had saved about, I think it was about 7 or 8 legs already from amputation, or that were either at risk of amputation or that had been scheduled for amputation. And I've got 3 of those cases on audio files on a web group that you'll see at the end of this video. But here's some examples of what the Boptron light is doing with serious kind of leg-threatening, life-threatening wounds. So my challenge to the medical institution is, how can you look at yourselves in the mirror when you're giving people that drug Roaccutane, which has websites and websites about mental health damage caused by it, when you've got a Boptron light that can wipe out a skin condition like this in 10 weeks on its own? Okay, you've just seen 3 breakthrough remedies for skin with what I believe are clear case history success stories. Now let's look and see how the medical profession handle things when they get a real crisis skin and tissue case that comes their way. Not so long ago, a baby girl from New Zealand made national and world headlines when she contracted meningococcal disease. She was in the care of Auckland Hospital for 12 days before she lost her limbs. Whenever a tragedy like this happens, I believe there must be a review of all those in charge, their research procedure and their best practice models. Here are my questions to David Sage, the Chief Medical Officer of Auckland Hospital at that time and now. David, how do you explain the fact that none of your doctors, your surgeons and yourself knew anything about the Boptron light when it is scientifically proven in the areas of wound, burn and tissue healing and has saved about a dozen legs from amputation in Auckland before this little girl lost hers to your care? Why were you not prepared to take up David Phillips' offer to treat any more at risk of amputation kids, given David Phillips' track record in saving such cases? Given that David Phillips stopped that baby crying in 30 seconds with the Boptron light in front of one of your own doctors who immediately was able to reduce the morphine for baby, and given that I showed you at least 4 serious leg wounds at risk of or scheduled amputation and saved by David Phillips' Boptron light, I find your response pathetic and in fact criminal. David Phillips emailed me and said he believed he could have saved those limbs if he got there in time. Could you please explain to the parents of this child whose limbs you amputated why you did not put them in contact with the Auckland Hospital's hyperbaric oxygen provider at the time? He and all his colleagues from around the world were amazed that he wasn't a lead treatment provider in the case, given the successful track record of hyperbaric oxygen therapy in this area. You have the gall to ask me for high standards of evidence efficacy after it has already been delivered to you as clearly as it can be. Did you talk to the doctors who saw the Boptron light in action, constantly alleviating pain as soon as it was shone on the tissue? Did you read what the parents wrote about FLP aloe vera on their website? Did you talk to the surgeon who couldn't believe the recovery rate of the baby after surgery when she was on transfer factor, a proven immune booster? What if these remedies got there on day 1 instead of day 10, David? I don't believe there is a single one of you in that hospital with eyes for remedies that work. I believe you and the upper echelon there are a pack of criminals guilty of grievous bodily harm, and that this case is a classic example of black and white proof of what remedies work right in front of your own eyes that you ignored. Here, open your eyes and read about hyperbaric oxygen chamber therapy that you denied the parents of. Read this email of Dr. Mike Godfrey from Tauranga where he quotes his Danish colleagues as saving legs that the mongrels in your profession were going to cut off. Read about how Dr. Janice Priest of Tauranga's Healthy Options was saving legs that the mongrels in your profession were going to cut off. So to my other listeners, this is just one example of where I believe they're doing enormous harm to people, and I look forward to seeing people in folk medicine groups where people can really experience remedies that work. Alright, till then, looking forward to seeing you all. Tom.